The Valdosta just experienced two separate tornadoes this past December. In the southern states, the typical tornado season begins in February and extends through May, with its peak in the month of March. With this in mind, it's important to be ready for severe weather situations as soon as possible. To learn about how families and businesses can prepare for the possible storms, I asked Ashley Ty, Director of Lowndes County Emergency Management Agency, for some advice.
Well, one of the first and probably the most important things is to make sure you have a plan of what you would do at home or especially in your business. Where are you going to go if you got notice that there was severe weather coming? When you've got a tornado bearing down on you, that's not the time to start thinking about that. You're going to be under so much stress as it is. You're not really going to have time to think about what to do. You need to have a plan and be familiar with that plan and have exercised it. We do tornado drills in schools a couple of times a year, but it's not just something for school kids. It's something that's good for every citizen, either at work or at home, to make sure you know where you'd go. One of the key elements of that plan is, it is great to know where you're going to go, but if you don't know that something's coming, then you're not really going to be ready to jump into action. So in addition to having a plan, we want people to stay informed too. And there's lots of ways. NOAA weather radios are a very inexpensive way to get the alerts directly from the National Weather Service. Of course, we all know that the emergency alerts can go out over the TV and radio stations as well, but in the middle of the night when you're asleep, that's not going to work. So NOAA weather radios is great. Also, Code Red is a great service that's available free to any resident of Lowndes County, including the municipalities, where you can sign up, and it gives you severe weather warnings and other type of emergency notifications directly on your telephone, through text message or email as soon as those alerts are issued. And the great thing about those is those can be dialed down. They're specific to your address. So if your address is not inside the area where the severe weather threat or the emergency is taking place, then you won't get that phone call, because you don't need to. It's not something that you need to be concerned with. We want to kind of make it to where it's gets the message out as quickly as possible, so we don't want to waste time calling people that aren't affected, and that's going to delay getting the message out to the people that are affected. Because a lot of times things can and do happen during the daytime. So as part of your family plan, you also want to have a communications plan, because it's one thing if you're at home and everybody's together, then you kind of know. But if everybody's spread out and mom and dad are at work and the kids are at school and everybody's kind of spread out in different areas, you want to make sure that you've got a way to get in touch with each other and let each other know you're okay. So one easy way to do that is to have an out-of-town contact. So maybe you can't get in touch with each other here in town, but you can call a friend or relative out of town. Everybody knows to check in with that person, and they can kind of serve as the conduit for making sure everybody's okay. But also, some of the same things you still kind of want to have a kit together. But when you're at work, businesses, it's also important for them, businesses to have a plan, not only for what they're going to do for their employees and their customers during the disaster, making sure that they're safe, they have a safe place to go. But then once the storm has passed or whatever the emergency is, they've got to have a plan to make sure they can open back up, because that's their livelihood. And the community depends on, economically, we depend on them being in business to support the community. So making sure you've got a plan for, a recovery plan for how you would open back up in a timely manner. And so some of the simple things check and make sure you've got adequate insurance. Set up what we call continuity of operations plans, where maybe this part of the building is unusable, but you've got a plan in place that you can quickly set up your operations and set up business somewhere else. So there's a lot of different aspects like that go into a business plan that obviously wouldn't be in a family plan. Talking about coming up with your plan and knowing what you're going to do, a lot of people say, well, where do I need to go? We're talking about tornadoes. That's kind of the most recent thing on everybody's mind. So what would I do in the case of a tornado? And like I said, if you don't catch all this, you can go to ready.ga.gov, and the Ready Georgia website has a lot of information. But the key thing to remember when you're talking about tornadoes as we get into the upcoming tornado season is, you want to get inside, get into a sturdy building, and you want to get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. The tornadoes don't really come through and just pick the house up and throw it away. It's usually it's the debris that's flying around that's picked up by the tornado that does most of the damage. So you want to get in an interior room, usually a hallway, maybe an interior bathroom or a closet, and make sure you want to try and, if possible, get somewhere that doesn't have any windows. That debris comes in and breaks the window out, and then that flying glass can cut you. And something a lot of people don't think about. We have seen, like I said, we have seen several tornadoes recently, and there are several in our historical record. When you're building a house, when you're building a business, a church, school, whatever, I would encourage everybody to be thinking about that emergency preparedness up front, and make sure when you design that building, we have a lot of places that are designed because they look nice, and a lot of open space floor plans. Well, that's great, as far as for entertaining, and it looks pretty, but it's not very functional during a disaster. So start thinking about building a safe room, and on the front end, if you're building a house, it's very, very inexpensive at that time to go ahead and reinforce like a walk-in closet, and that makes a great safe room for a tornado, and be big enough for a typical family of 5-6 people, even that large, and just gives you that peace of mind so that if something happens, tornado comes, then you've got a safe place to go. You may lose, tornado may wipe your house out. There's not a whole lot we can do for that, but we want to make sure we take steps to protect life and protect our citizens as much as we can, and that's a real simple thing that people often overlook.
For more information on how you can prepare for this year's tornado season, including tips on creating an emergency supply kit, visit ready.ga.gov. Additionally, citizens are encouraged to sign up for Code Red Alerts through LownDesCounty.com.